The taste of words asterisk asterisk. Put salt on your tongue before you speak. Not for taste, but for truth. Not for spice, but for sanctity. Not to flavor the sound, but to filter the soul. Because words are not light things. They may ride on air, but they weigh heavy in hearts. Salt has memory. Ask the ocean. Ask the tears that slid down your mother's cheek the night she prayed for you. Ask the sweat on the brow of every man who built a home from nothing. Ask the wounds that still sting when certain names are spoken. Salt remembers. So when you put it on your tongue, it reminds you what you're about to say can preserve, or it can decay. It can bless, or it can break. It can plant seeds, or poison wells. It can echo for decades, or die in the dirt it came from. Do not be careless with your mouth. This tongue, this trembling muscle in your jaw, has raised empires, and it has raised them to put salt on your tongue, because salt doesn't lie. Salt tells you where you're bleeding. Salt tells you when the wound is still open. Salt tells you that your words must not just taste good, they must do good. How many wars have been started by a whisper? How many homes broken by half-truths and whole egos? How many lovers turned strangers because I'm sorry came too late, or never came at all? Put salt on your tongue so you feel your words before you fling them. Feel them burn a little. Let them sting you first so they don't wound another. You see, salt was sacred before sugar ever sweet-talked us. It was traded like treasure. It was used to cleanse altars. It was rubbed on newborns to purify their skin. Even God said, "Let your speech be seasoned with salt." So what seasoning sits on your speech? Sarcasm, spite, slander wrapped in smiles, or is there preservation in your presence, healing in your honesty, peace in your poetry? Speak as if your voice will echo across generations. Speak like the tongue is an altar and every word is a sacrifice. Speak knowing your voice is a map and someone is listening, trying to find their way home. Do not poison the path. Put salt on your tongue before you speak, because sometimes silence is more sacred than speech. And when you do speak, speak like you mean it. Speak like a surgeon, not a sword. Speak like every vowel is a vow. Speak like your voice could resurrect a broken soul, not rip it deeper. You are not just a speaker. You are you summon things when you speak, peace or chaos, clarity or confusion. So don't just spit words, wash them in wisdom, bathe them in stillness, test them in the mirror of empathy. Would you survive your own sentence? Put salt on your tongue before you speak, because salt purifies, because salt checks your pride, because salt makes you pause, and that pause, that tiny silence, that's where God lives. Let him filter your fury. Let him soften your tone. Let him whisper into your mouth before the world hears you roar. Remember, some people only hear you once, and that one time may save or scar them forever. What will your one sentence do? Speak with salt. Not bitterness, but boldness. Not arrogance, but awareness. Not perfection, but presence. Even Maya knew the weight of a word. She didn't need to shout. Her silence was thunderous. Her pauses preached. Her phrasing painted galaxies in air. So the next time you open your mouth, ask, is this holy? Is this honest? Is this healing? And if not, maybe salt it a little more, because some things are better left unsaid than said unclean. Put salt on your tongue before you speak. Not for taste, but for truth. Not for flavor, but for the flame of reverence. Not because you're perfect, but because you're powerful, and every word you speak builds a world you will live in. Sacred tongue asterisk asterisk. Your tongue is not ordinary, that it was never meant to be common, careless, or wielded like a blade in back alley arguments. It is not a whip for bruising others in the name of truth. It is not a matchstick to light ego's fire. No, your tongue is sacred. It is the final gate before your thoughts walk into the world. It is a temple, not a weapon. Treat it as holy ground, because every time you speak, you step into creation. You step into Genesis. You become a co-author with the divine. Let there be light. That wasn't just a command, it was a revelation. Words made the world. So what are your words making? Are they building sanctuary, or scattering stones? Your tongue is a temple. Would you let poison drip on a temple floor? Would you let your rage dance where angels tread? Would you raise your volume like fists in a chapel, or would you let reverence guide your sound? The sacred tongue is disciplined. It knows when to whisper, when to roar, and when to stay still. Because silence, oh, true silence, is not weakness. It is waiting, it is choosing, it is sacred ground, choosing not to become a battlefield. Maya Angelou didn't scream to be heard. She didn't need to. Her voice, calm, carved from truth, moved nations without shouting. She spoke like she knew her words had weight, like each one could shift a soul, like her tongue was dipped in history and washed in grace. She rose with every phrase, and we rose with her. But you, me, we speak and forget. We say just kidding after slicing someone's spirit. We disguise sarcasm as wit, and cruelty as just being honest. We spit out words, never tasting the cost. But your tongue is not a landfill for bitterness. It is not a sewer for spilled pride. It is not a sword for ego's duels. It is not a grenade hidden behind a grin. No, it is a vessel, a chalice, an altar, and every syllable you serve from it is either a blessing or a betrayal. Every syllable is a spell. Think about that. Each time you speak, you conjure something. You can lift a soul from despair or bury it deeper beneath doubt. You can kiss open a wound or seal it with peace. Words are not neutral. They are arrows or wings, fire or fountain, graveyard or garden. A simple sentence can resurrect confidence. A whisper of grace can reverse years of shame. One phrase, I see you, I believe in you. You matter, can push someone back toward life. And one sharp word, carelessly thrown, can unravel everything they were trying to hold together. That's why your tongue must be sacred. Not censored, no, but consecrated, sanctified by empathy, purified by purpose, because your mouth is a pulpit and someone's heart is listening like scripture. Speak like someone who's been to the mountaintop. Speak like someone who knows what silence costs. Speak like someone who's learned that volume isn't victory, and noise isn't leadership. Speak like Maya, soft enough to enter the wound, strong enough to stand against injustice. She didn't let anger twist her tongue. She let her pain pass through poetry. She wrapped fire in rhythm and turned fury into fuel. That's a sacred tongue. That's a sanctified voice. But pride, oh, pride poisons the tongue. It makes you speak to win, not to heal, to dominate, not to dialogue, to be heard, not understood. Pride turns temples into war rooms. It raises its voice when it has nothing of value to say. It speaks even when silence would serve more. That's the fall. That's the silence poisoned by pride. The kind that says, I won't speak to them. Or worse, the kind that says, I'll speak at them, but never with them. That's not sacred. That's ego in sacred clothing. So pause, breathe, taste the words before they leave. Ask yourself, are these words sacred or sharp? Are they building bridges or burning them? Are they born from love or laced with power play? Because once they leave, they don't belong to you anymore. They become part of someone else's memory, part of their story, part of their struggle or their strength. Speak as if you are writing scripture on someone's soul. Let your tongue carry peace like a river. Let your tone be wrapped in velvet, not soft to the point of silence, but smooth enough to reach where anger cannot. Let your mouth be a mirror, reflecting dignity, not dominance. Let your pauses hold power, and your words hold weight. And when you must correct, do it like Maya would, with eyes full of truth, with a voice full of dignity, with words dipped in justice and wrapped in hope. You are not just a speaker. You are a witness. You are a vessel. You are a poet even when you don't rhyme. You are a priest even when you don't preach. So use your sacred tongue like a prayer, like incense rising from the chest, like incense rising from centuries of broken chains and unspoken dreams. Speak like one who has survived. Speak like one who knows the cost. Speak like one who refuses to waste breath on bitterness, because every time you speak you either rise like Maya, or fall like silence poisoned by pride. You either bless the room or bruise it. You either feed the hungry soul or you salt the wound. So choose wisely. This tongue, this holy thing tucked behind your teeth, was not made for ordinary noise. It was made for sacred sound. The God within, ***, speak like God. Not because you wear his crown, but because you carry his breath. That first inhale in Eden, it wasn't just air, it was eternity entering clay. It was divine rhythm placed inside a ribcage. It was purpose whispered into dust. And now it is your breath, your voice, your sacred sound. You are not God, no, but you are his echo. You walk this world with lungs full of legacy, with a tongue touched by the divine. You weren't made to mumble hate or hum bitterness in disguise. You were made to echo something eternal, to speak in waves that ripple across time. So speak like creation depends on it, because in many ways it does. You may not part seas, but your words can part someone's darkness. You may not shape planets, but you can shape hearts. Every sentence you birth holds power. It either builds or it breaks. It either breathes or it suffocates. God spoke galaxies into being. He didn't shout them, he spoke them. And what are you speaking? Are your words building stars in others, or stealing light? Are you speaking like someone who knows the weight of their own voice? Or are you tossing words like dust into the wind, forgetting they may land on open wounds? You don't need a throne to speak with grace. You don't need a robe to speak with reverence. You don't need a burning bush to know that your voice is holy. Just breathe, just speak. But speak from the place inside you where peace still hums, where truth isn't loud, it's rooted. Speak from the belly of stillness, not the throat of pride. Speak like someone who has walked with storms and lived to sing anyway. Speak like your silence once saved you, and now your sound is sanctuary. We're not made to spit fire with every word. You were made to shine, to echo the light that first named you worthy. You are not small, your voice is not accidental. You are not just a passerby in the parade of purpose. You are part of the rhythm. You are a line in the poem God is still writing. And yes, you will get angry, you will ache, you will feel words rising up, that taste of hurt and smoke. But remember, even righteous fire must be directed by holy hands. Even justice can be spoken in mercy. Even truth, when wrapped in love, becomes healing. Speak like God, not with a booming voice, but with a brave heart. Speak like you know who you come from, like heaven is your lineage and love is your native tongue. Speak like Maya did, with backbone and balm, with fire and fragrance. with rhythm that refused to die even when silence tried to choke it. You carry his breath. That means your voice is not ordinary. It means your I love you has the power to rebuild. It means your I'm sorry can end generational war. It means your I believe in you can stop someone from stepping off the edge. That's not poetry. That's power. And what are you doing with it? Do you use your breath to blame or to bless? To gossip or to guard? To curse or to call forth the good in others? Even the smallest words matter. Whispers can wake the world. So speak like God, not to dominate, but to create, not to silence others, but to awaken the silence within them. Speak life into the broken. Speak dignity into the forgotten. Speak peace into rooms where war has lived too long. Speak justice into spaces that only knew judgment. Because someone, somewhere, has never heard a gentle voice speak truth. They've only known noise, disguised as strength. Let your voice be different. Let it feel like sunrise after a long storm. Let it remind the listener they are seen, they are sacred, they are still worthy of soft things. Speak like creation depends on it, because when someone is standing on the edge, it often does. A single sentence can pull them back. A single phrase can reintroduce them to their own worth. One breath from you can breathe again into them. You carry that kind of power. You don't need a pulpit. You don't need a platform. You just need to remember you carry his breath. So before you open your mouth, open your soul. Let your words be dipped in clarity, soaked in patience, and dressed in truth. Speak like God, not because you are perfect, but because your voice is a vessel, and when he breathes through it, miracles happen. Maya's mirror ***. Maya said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And she was right. Words may leave the room, but the feeling, it lingers. It nestles itself in the softest corners of memory. It builds a home behind the ribs. It echoes long after the voice has fallen silent. So don't just speak to be clever. Don't talk just to be right. Speak to be remembered, not for your words, but for your warmth. Speak like Maya. Speak with the grace of someone who has tasted every shade of sorrow and still chose kindness. Speak like someone who buried bitterness and grew gardens in its place. Maya didn't rush to speak. She measured her words. She didn't just drop knowledge. She delivered it like a gift, wrapped in rhythm, laced with dignity, anchored in truth. She was soft, but never weak. She was firm, but never cruel. She was unforgettable, not because she was loud, but because she was true. So when you speak, ask yourself, is this going to be remembered? Not the sentence, but the sensation it leaves behind. Will my voice be an embrace or an echo of judgment? Will they walk away carrying my words like wounds or like wings? Salt makes you feel a single grain, and your whole tongue pays attention. It stings where there's a wound. It preserves where there's something sacred. It wakes the senses. Salt reminds you this matters. This has weight. This should not be ignored. So speak like salt. Let your words matter. Let them wake the soul, but not wound it. Let them sting only to cleanse, never to shame, not let them heal like tears. Sharp for a moment, but soft when remembered. Truth makes you remember, not because it's loud, but because it's real. Because it hums in your bones long after the noise has passed. Truth echoes. It repeats itself without repetition. It feels like déjà vu in the soul. That's why when Maya spoke, you didn't just listen. You felt her. She didn't perform. She revealed. She didn't argue. She affirmed. She held mirrors, not microphones. So speak like Maya. Not with thunder, but with thunder's weight. Not with force, but with undeniable presence. Let your voice feel like morning light. Gentle, but it changes everything it touches. Let your tone be a mirror, not a spotlight, but a reflection that invites others to see themselves with more grace. Speak like someone who knows the difference between noise and nourishment, between volume and value. Speak like someone who has sat with their shadows and still chose to love the light. Speak like someone who has survived their silence and now speaks only what is necessary, what is nourishing, what is rooted, because being unforgettable isn't about being dramatic. It's about being deeply present. It's about choosing words that don't just impress, they imprint. Maya's mirror was never polished to perfection. It was cracked with truth, framed in pain, held together by courage. But when she spoke, you didn't see the cracks. You saw your own reflection more clearly. She made you believe again. She made you stand straighter. She made you want to heal, because she spoke like healing was possible. You can do that too. You don't need fame. You don't need flawless grammar. You need intention. You need to mean what you say, and say it like it matters. Speak like Maya. Speak with history in your throat, but hope in your eyes. Speak with softness that is sharp, and sharpness that is soft. Speak like someone who knows that one phrase can change the direction of a life. And when in doubt, pause. When angry, breathe. When unsure, remember this. It's not what you say, it's how you make them feel. So give people peace. Give them pause. Give them the mirror of truth wrapped in mercy. Let your presence be poetry. Let your words feel like healing songs sung beneath the rubble. Let your voice be the one they carry into their healing. Let your silence say more than your shouting ever could. Speak like Maya, soft, firm, unforgettable. Because when your words are shaped by love, they outlive the moment. and they become a memory people return to when the world gets loud again. Fire or fountain *** your mouth. It holds a choice every time it opens. It is either a fire or a fountain, and both can burn. Oh yes, don't be fooled by the beauty of water. Even a fountain can scorch a soul if its words are cold enough. Even sweetness can scald when poured without compassion. Fire and fountain, they both have power, but one destroys, and the other cleanses. So which one lives in you? When you speak, do your words light candles or wildfires? Do they offer warmth or warning? Do they invite someone to heal or hide? This is not about silence. This is not about being nice. This is about being aware that every word that leaves your lips is either smoke that suffocates or water that revives. Fire is fast, it reacts, it consumes. It doesn't ask permission. It comes out when we're angry, when we feel unheard, when pride grows louder than patience. Fire shouts. It curses without context. It's the quick clapback, the impulsive insult, the sharp sarcasm masked as truth. And sometimes, yes, fire feels good. It feels powerful to let it out, to be the loudest in the room, to win the conversation. But tell me this, what good is winning if someone else leaves burned? Fire may win the moment, but it loses a soul, because once the flame dies down, what are you left with? Ashes, regret, ruins of what could have been healing. So before you spit flames, taste salt, taste the sacred, taste the ancient reminder that your tongue is not made for war, but for wisdom. Salt slows you down. Salt makes you pause. Salt asks you, is this coming from pain or purpose? Because the other path, the quieter power, is the fountain. The fountain doesn't rush, it flows. The fountain does not scorch, it softens. It does not shout, it soothes. But don't mistake its stillness for weakness. Fountains are fierce, in their own way. They erode stone, not through force, but through consistency. They cleanse wounds, they awaken the thirsty. They bring the garden back to life. The fountain speaks with intention, with mercy, with a clarity that doesn't need to be loud to be heard. So ask yourself, before I speak, what am I trying to build? Am I fueling fire that will collapse the bridge between us? Or am I pouring peace that makes space for return? Before you raise your voice, ask, will this uplift, or will it unravel? Because even truth, if thrown like fire, can become destruction. But that same truth, if poured like water, can become liberation. You were never called to silence what matters, but you were called to say it in a way that matters more. You are allowed to be angry, but not to become the anger. You are allowed to feel the fire. But you are not meant to be the flame. Let it pass through you. Let it teach you. Let it fuel the right words, not reckless ones. Some of the most dangerous fires don't come from forests. They come from tongues. And some of the most powerful healing doesn't come from medicine. It comes from a single word spoken with grace. Your mouth can be the match or the miracle. You choose. Every time you open it, you decide, am I a fire today? Or am I a fountain? Am I releasing pain or restoring peace? Am I feeding the ego or watering the soul? Because both fire and fountain will leave a mark. One leaves scars, the other leaves roots. Speak like someone who knows their words are living things. Speak like someone who would rather plant than burn. Speak like someone who knows their voice holds legacy, not just volume. And when you feel the fire rise in your throat, pause. Taste the salt. Feel the weight of what you're about to release. You are powerful, but your greatest power is in choosing how to use it, because your beautiful soul are the keeper of both fire and fountain, flame and flow, wrath and wisdom in the world. Will be shaped by whichever one you let speak. Choose water. Choose light. Choose the sound that heals. Because that's what Maya did, and that's what echoes longest. The pause that heals ***. Salt slows you down. Not to stop you, but to center you. To bring you back to the still place inside your storm. To whisper, wait, feel this. Know what you're about to say before you say it. Because in a world that rewards reaction, pause is a radical act, and silence. Silence is sacred, not empty, not weakness, but a conscious breath in a room full of noise. The world is loud, louder than ever. Everyone has a mic. Everyone has a platform. Everyone is speaking, but not everyone is saying something that heals. We hear voices that shout over each other just to be first, just to be seen, just to be right. But rarely do we hear voices that pause. That kind of voice is different. It doesn't rush, it rests. It weighs each word like it's a stone being laid in the foundation of something holy. And maybe the most powerful words aren't the ones that erupt, but the ones that arrive after reflection. Salt makes you pause. It touches the tongue and says, are you sure? It stings where there's injury, not to shame you, but to save you from wounding someone else. That pause isn't just time. It's transformation. It's where your hurt softens before it becomes harm. It's where your rage cools into wisdom. It's where your ego quiets so empathy can speak. In that pause you meet yourself, the real self, the one beneath the defensiveness, the one that wants peace more than power. Be the sacred silence before the storm, not the calm that avoids confrontation, but the stillness that prepares to speak truth with tenderness, with clarity. With care. You don't need to be the loudest to be heard. You don't need to respond in seconds. To be strong, you only need to be rooted. Still, intentional, let every word be a prayer. Not just noise, not just sound to fill the space, not just replies for approval, not just volume for validation, but prayers, offerings, sacred syllables that rise from soul, not ego. What if we treated our voice the way monks treat bells, only ringing it when the moment truly calls? What if we let our pauses preach louder than our pride? What if the next time someone triggered us, we let silence speak first? Not to avoid, but to align. Not to withdraw, but to prepare. Maya knew the power of a pause. She let her words breathe. She left space between sentences so they could sink, settle, saturate. She didn't need to rush. She knew her truth wasn't going anywhere. That's the power of someone who doesn't fear silence, because silence is where clarity lives. We're taught to fill every gap, but sometimes God speaks in the pause. Sometimes healing happens in the breath between "I'm sorry" and "I forgive you." Sometimes a moment of stillness is the loudest compassion you can give. Salt slows you down because what you're about to say matters. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more nourishment. It needs voices that bless, not just broadcast. It needs people who don't just talk but listen. People who understand that the most life-giving words often come after silence has cleared the air. Let every word you speak be born from stillness. Let it carry the weight of presence. Let it taste like reverence. Let it rise, not from the shallows of reactivity but from the depths of intention. So pause, beloved, breathe. Wait just long enough for your truth to put on its robe of grace before it enters the room, because a truth spoken too quickly can cut like a blade. But a truth spoken after pause can feel like medicine. Be that medicine. Be that miracle wrapped in restraint. Be that voice that knows silence is not absence, it's awareness. Let your mouth be a sanctuary. Let your sentences be sacred. Let your voice only move when the message is married to meaning. Let every word be a prayer, not just noise, because noise may get attention, but prayer gets remembered. Speak like legacy, ***, speak like God, not to impress the room, but to transform it. Not to gain applause, but to awaken purpose. Don't speak to be seen. Speak so others can see themselves again. Speak like every sentence you carry is a seed in someone else's soil, and you never know which word will bloom into courage. Speak like Maya did, with elegance, with backbone, with fire dressed in forgiveness. Speak like a thunderstorm wearing silk. Soft, but you feel it, you remember it. It lingers in your skin like a lesson that arrives long after the sound has faded. Speak not to fill the silence, but to honor it, because silence is holy too, and sometimes the weight of your pause says more than the roar of your pride. Speak like your voice was made of ancient things, because it was. Your voice is built from breath and memory, from prayers whispered in the dark, from mothers who held pain in their chests but still sang lullabies anyway. You carry all of that in one mouth, one soul, one sacred sound. So don't waste it trying to be loud. Be legendary instead. There's a difference. Loudness fades, legacy echoes, noise disappears, but truth roots itself in the hearts of those who needed it most. So speak like a gardener of souls. Plant wisely, water gently. Let your words rise, not like smoke but like sunrise. You were not made for empty chatter. You were not made to echo fear. You were not made to mimic the noise. You were made to say something that lasts, and lasting words don't come from performance, they come from presence. So speak from the place where your pain became poetry, where your wounds turned to wisdom, where your silence became sacred and your breath became brave. Speak from the place Maya found, where dignity walks hand in hand with grief, where truth sits beside tenderness, where black womanhood became revolution wrapped in rhyme. Speak like Maya. She didn't speak to rise above people, she spoke to raise them, to lift the weary, to cradle the broken, to remind the invisible they've always been worthy. Speak like her, speak like legacy. Not the kind written in stone, but the kind etched in hearts, because your voice is not just sound, it is spirit. It is scripture for someone searching for themselves. You never know which line of yours becomes someone's lifeline. You never know when your softness becomes someone's survival. So let your voice be gentle, but unshakable. Let it be a home, not a hammer. Let it be a mirror, not a spotlight. Let it be medicine, not performance. Speak like your voice is holy, because it is. It is not holy because it is perfect. It is holy because it is honest. It is holy because it carries breath from something greater than you. It is holy because it can change the course of another soul's direction without even knowing it. Speak like God, not in arrogance but in awareness, not in authority but in alignment, not to be worshipped but to be worthy of the gift you've been given. Speak like the page is listening, like the walls are remembering, like the future is waiting for one word of yours to push open a door. Speak like you are writing legacy with your lips, because you are. You don't need a mic to do that. You don't need a stage or a spotlight. You just need to show up with truth in your mouth and kindness in your tone. Let people remember how you made them feel. Let them carry your voice with them like a bomb, like a banner, like something sacred they'll pass on to others. Speak like Maya, like thunder wrapped in silk, like a prophet who remembers her grandmother's songs, like a woman who survived storms and became one. Let your words rain softly but land powerfully, Let them cleanse, not crush. Let them shake the earth without ever raising your voice. Speak like someone who knows their voice is holy, because it is, because you are, because legacy isn't what you leave behind, it's what you leave inside. Speak like that. Speak like legacy. Speak like truth. In motion. Speak like legacy. Speak like someone who knows. You've heard the whisper now. The call to rise softly, to speak not for noise, but for meaning, not for power, but for presence, because your voice is not an accident. It is ancient, it is intentional. It is the breath of something bigger passing through something beautiful. You, and now, the question lingers. What will you do with it? Will you shout or shape? Will you tear or teach? Will you echo the world's noise, or become a sound the world didn't know it needed? Will you keep the salt on your tongue and speak like God, not to impress, but to impact? Speak like Maya, with the calm of a survivor and the strength of a storm. Speak like someone who walked through fire but refused to become it. Let your words become water. Let your voice become home. Let your silence become sacred in your sound. Become legacy. Because the world isn't starving for more talk. It's starving for more truth wrapped in tenderness, delivered by voices that know their holiness. So if you felt forgotten, remember this: your voice can still build. It can still bless. It can still bloom in places no one thought life could grow. You don't need to shout. You don't need to fight to be loud. You just need to speak from the place that still believes in healing. Let this be your vow. From this moment forward, I will speak with care, with courage, with clarity. I will not use my voice to conquer, but to connect. I will taste salt before I speak. I will speak like legacy because I am legacy. Now go. Speak healing. Speak hope. Speak like Maya. Speak like thunder wrapped in silk. Speak like God breathed through you. Because He did, and He still is. And the world is waiting for the sound only you can make.